Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Strompcast. Sporting heading back to the Jamor. And of course, your boys are back. We have a jam-packed episode today. 3 games on the agenda. But before we get into that, let me introduce you to my co-host. First, back from the sunny beaches of Mexico, we got Danny. How you doing today, man?
Facts. I went to go look for Paulinho, but I only found him on the TV. But yeah, man, feeling good. As you can see, I'm tanned, sort of. I'm not blending in with the wall in the back.
Your shirt.
True, that's a good contrast to comparison.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, man, feeling 1 year older today, and yeah, feeling great.
Nice, man. Chris, how you doing today, man?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Since our last pod, we've had some developments in sporting world. Certainly, back in first in the cup final, when I came in here, it was 3-0. I think 8-0 on aggregate. I think we know who our opponent's going to be in the final, even if the game's not actually over right now.
Game's not over yet.
It just finished. It's 4.
It just finished. Okay, now it's official.
Game's over.
We got to dare to be in the cup final.
It's official.
It's down to us two for the league. They beat us in the test of the league final. I mean, it's like the good old days. The Lisbon teams competing on all fronts.
Centralismo, caralho. Let's go.
We still got two trophies to compete for against them, and both are very much in play.
And we had a final against them as well in the League Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Pinta Costa is rolling in his grave right now.
Spitting in his grave. He's fuming.
Hell just got a little hotter for him.
He's looking up, and he's pissed.
And on that note, Richard, how are you today, man?
I'm good. I'm doing pretty well. Yeah, we were like crashing out. We had a week off last week. We were all just busy. But yeah, we were like crashing out on the last show, going, "What the hell's going on with this team?" And suddenly Benfica drops points. We're back in first somehow. Absolute scenes in the league standings. Yeah, back to the cup final, which is always nice. I'd really like to win the cup this year. We haven't won the cup in a long time.
Been a few years.
Been a while. 6 years, 7 years.
Our last
2019.
I think it was 2019.
2019,
Yeah.
Our last trip to the final last year, we lost to Porto in extra time. In what was kind of a dull game for the most part, save for Diogo Pinto making things a little too exciting when he was coming off his line. But yeah, so we've got 3 minutes. We've got 3 league games left. We got a Dare to Be coming up, not this week, but the following week, if I'm not mistaken. So it's coming down to the wire, man. I'm nervous. I don't like this. I don't feel so well.
It's annoying that Benfica are on course for a treble because we would never be able to live that down if they.
Oh, if they beat us in all.
It's a treble against all. Yeah, I think
if they beat us in 2 finals and we finish like second somehow, that fold the club. We'll pack it in. We're done. This is an all-things Alvalade. We're gonna be
3 finals, I suppose.
We're gonna become a fucking Braga podcast or something. Forget that. We're done here.
Sporting
but it would be the most Sporting thing to ever happen.
Oh, it would be the most Sporting thing. The most Sporting thing to ever happen too would be if say we screw up points this week or whatever. If we tie at the luge. And then we lose to Guimarães on the last day. That would be the most Sporting thing ever. Tie at the lose, so we seal up the tiebreakers, and then we would lose the last game at home anyways, because why wouldn't we?
Guys, I'm sick of your negative energy, man. Where's the positive thinking? Come on, man.
You're right.
But that's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen. It ain't going to happen. Not up in here.
And of course, you can follow all things Alvalade on all social media and podcast platforms. Let's get on with the game that happened last night, and that was against Rio Ave, a 2-1 victory. Let me read the lineup as followed. In goal, you got Rui Silva, St. Just, Diamonde, Ignacio, Dabast, Hillman, Fresneda, Mateus Reis, Pedro Gonçalves, Trincao, and Yocres. Off the bench, Jenny, Esgaio, Harder, BL, and Maxi Aruja. Danny, I'll start off with you. What are your overall thoughts on this game?
Yeah, a game that I like that we resolved fairly early. I mean, the first half, that 1-0, of course, everything's still up in the air, still there, but I would say it was pretty much done and dusted there. Great header from Ignacio. Surprised there wasn't a lot of ruckus on the timeline about whether there should have been a handball on the corner, blah, blah, blah. Those other guys, they like to cry a lot, especially nowadays. But great header from Inacio. Funny enough, scores on the same day that Quach scored on from a header as well last night for Nacional.
I think it must be noted because I have not seen anyone post it on Twitter, at least from the sporting side of things. His header put them up 3-0, and they would go on to blow the lead and tie 3-3.
3-3. Yeah.
Just gonna add that.
I've seen that too. But yeah, I mean, I like that we didn't rotate all that much. We got minutes for St. Just. Pot got a nice little 45 minutes. Still finding his rhythm. I don't recall much that he did this game, but he also only played a half. Yeah, which is fine. He's basically, as they've been saying, he's I like the Gyökeres goal a lot too. Sort of a poacher's finish, jumping on the rebound if I have my games correct.
Yes.
And
he actually missed like 2 breakaways as well, which is kind
of did.
Yes, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Should have had a hat trick in this game if we're being honest.
Yeah. But nonetheless, I thought we played really well. Again, another tale of Rui Borges. Really good first half. Second half, okay, fair enough. We also did some subs, but also another, I don't want to say poor, but a lackluster second half. A second half where they scored a goal that was offside. They had a shot taken off it was off the bar, I think right on the line or near the line and out. That would have been a crazy banger. And then their goal again was a really nice goal, but defense was sort of asleep there. So I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan on how we always concede at least one, especially when we're going to come up against teams where it'll be difficult to score. But hey, it was a good game. I'm a happy camper when I get to see Ijigayu in the midfield. I don't know about you boys.
That makes one of us.
Second game in a row, Ijigayu midfielder.
I don't think did he finish there?
Sort of. I don't know. Like, he fucking wanders in the midfield. I don't know. He was like a midfielder, and then he was back on the wings, and then he came back in midfield.
It doesn't matter. Hang on. It doesn't matter what position he plays. He kind of wanders anyways all the time. Come on.
But at least when he's at the back, when he's at the back or at like the wing back position, at least he's hugging the touchline. Whereas in midfield, I don't fucking know where the fuck this guy is. But I don't know about you guys, but I'd say next year he's our number 8. If he's still here.
Our number 8th choice, hopefully.
8th choice right back.
Yeah. 8th choice.
8 other dudes
choice as a goalkeeper. Yeah, that's all really I got to say about this game.
Yeah, fair enough. Richard, what were your overall thoughts on this game?
Yeah, same as Danny. Like, it was kind of like a good first half. I felt like they could have got more. We were saying in the group chat, I didn't feel like Gyökeres necessarily needed to start this game. I understand why he's starting because one, he's healthy, so I get it. If he wants to play, he wants to play.
Minutes, yeah.
And also because there is a goals record like being chased. He's what now 10 goals off after this game of the single season record for Sporting, which is 58. He's at 48 right now. I don't know if he's gonna get 10 goals in 4 games, but bro's gonna try. He's gonna make it. He's gonna make an attempt. I mean, he's got what Boavista away this week is the game he's gonna want to try to stat pad most of those goals.
Hopefully,
it would have been.
By
nice.
the way, Boavista's starting striker flew from Lisbon to Utah today to make a failed move, and now he's headed back to Portugal. That is easily a 12-hour flight.
Yeah.
Have fun with that.
It's it's 7 hours from Toronto to New York to Lisboa or Porto. So yeah.
Is there really connecting flights from Lisbon to Utah?
No, he probably had to stop in New York. I'm guessing.
He had to stop like in New York or Toronto or some nonsense. Probably like he had to stop on the East Coast.
Yeah, not what you want, but
they stopped. You know what they did? They stopped his ass in San Miguel first, and then made him stop in New York too.
I personally think that was Varandas' mastermind. He was like, "Hey, sure. Utah, we're going to give you a nice little loan. Buy this striker off of Boavista who can cause us some problems." Jokes. There's no loan, baby.
Good say, Boavista didn't pay for the flights. They couldn't afford that shit.
Yeah, no shot.
Anything,
that was out of pocket, bro.
We're lucky we're even playing in their stadium.
True. Like they can't
no
afford
luggage, just hand luggage. Can't afford
carry-on-
the extra
carry-on
suitcase.
only.
He's carrying garbage bags.
Yeah, like, bro, you cannot check a bag. That is
You can't carry-ons only, brothers. I'm sorry, fit your whole life into a carry-on. Figure it out. But back to this game. Yeah, like Danny hit the nail on the head. It's a lot. It was just kind of a long game. Like the first half, I felt like they were well in control. 1-0, you're like, with the 3-0 in aggregate, you're like, this tie's probably done. They make it 2 thanks to Jokeres, which is awesome. Glad to see him get a goal and then kind of come out. Like Chris said, he could have had a couple more. Probably should have had a hat trick this game, for being honest. And yeah, then just kind of the second half, it's just the same old story as we've been talking about the last couple months, which is they just seem to shut down in that last half hour, 45 minutes or so. Especially if they have a lead, like they just don't push the. I get it because the tie was kind of over. Like I don't think this Rio Ave team was going to score 4 or 5 unanswered goals at any given point in this game.
a petite
But again, it's just
team.
yeah. This was just kind of one of those things. It's just frustrating to see them play down to that level again when we know they're capable of doing better. I would like to see a bit more of a rotated squad. I'm glad we saw some guys get some extended minutes off the bench, at least to give some of the main guys a bit of a rest. Yeah, that's all there is. Right? They've got Boavista this week. They've got three league games and a cup game left, so we move.
Yeah, fair enough. Christian, what about you, man?
Yeah, I guess this tie theoretically was still open-ended going into it with only a 2-0 lead. We kind of talked about how we're disappointed that we didn't finish them off in the first leg, which we very well could have. And if they get the first goal here, right, it makes things a lot more interesting. Thankfully we were the ones who scored early, made it 3-0. It's difficult to come back from that. So I guess it could have been more interesting if things panned out differently. Rio Ave never really looked that threatening in the first half. They mostly were playing off the break and like got a couple half chances off of that. But I was never really concerned that they were gonna score, to be honest. After we made it 2-0, definitely a lot more passive. It was the 35 minutes. We're up 4-0. We're just trying to see this out. And that's kind of when Rio Ave grew more into the game naturally. Definitely deserved a goal. As Danny mentioned, the one guy's unlucky, hits the bar twice, bar, line, bar, and out. They did get their goal shortly after that, and they did have one ruled out for offsides after that as well. But they were obviously playing more in our half, creating more chances. But at the same time, it also, it's tough to push yourself into an extra gear when you know this in the scenario. I don't want to get hurt. We're up 4-0. We don't need to do anything. We just basically need to see this out. So I think that's mostly what the reason for that was. And it pisses me off more when we go into that mode. Let's just say this is a one-off game, right? And we start packing it in like that. But it's a bit different because it's a whole first leg. BL finally got some minutes. I kind of joked yesterday on the timeline that our boy Franco Israel on his birthday couldn't even get any minutes. But I guess how, like I alluded to earlier, the tie's technically not resolved. So if you start rotating, you switch to the goalie. I don't know. It does kind of seem like you're asking for trouble. So I see why he didn't do it, but unfortunate for Franco. You could say it's been a disastrous second half of the season for him. But at the same time, I'm really glad we got Corey Silva because he's been fantastic. No chance on the goal. It's a tidy finish. It's a nice give and go. I don't even remember which defender is kind of flat footed. It might be Inacio, but it happens. I really like any other outcome other than passing through to the final would have been seen as a massive failure. So mission accomplished. Smooth enough. 4-1 win total. Yeah, I can't say I have too many complaints. Obviously, I'm not thrilled about the passiveness, and I'm not thrilled that Gyökeres still spent 70 minutes out there, but he's gonna get his goal. Could have had more, but you know, it is what it is. He can't score every chance he gets, but he does score a lot of them.
Yeah, facts. I won't piggyback too much what you guys said, but I do think we needed a bit more rotation, especially, we'll touch on it a bit later, the interview that Varandas gave at the end of the game yesterday saying Trincao and Hjulmand were both injured. I think that is such a stupid thing to say when you've won a game like this, especially at this stretch of the season.
What was Blood thinking? Like, honestly.
I just don't get it.
I think he was trying to make the point that we've had so many injuries, so he was just like adding on to the list. I think, you know, it's like, I think the point was made with like 8 injuries. You know, he didn't need to make it 10.
Yeah, exactly. But I just thought it was a bit silly. I think Trincao definitely should have been rested. Hjulmand's a bit of a more difficult one because we don't really have that midfielder backup option, so I understand why he did play. But I think starting Jenny for Trincao and letting Trincao come off the bench maybe is the way to go. Gyökeres is a tough one to bench because, like Chris said, the game wasn't done yet. So I think doing something like that is asking for trouble. And Rui Silva, yeah, I would keep the same. But yeah, I would like to see Trincao maybe get a bit more of rest. You know, the Bast came off instead of Hjulmand, so maybe you bring on Esgar for Hjulmand, but having the captain on there, you know, another thing as well. So,
also, what happened to like Felissimo? Like,
disappeared.
Professor.
Yeah,
and Alexander Pichu was there
also
as
played
well.
ahead of Hjulmand, or at least been subbed on it earlier. Sub him on instead of Isgayu in midfield. Like, I don't get that part either.
Even in the Morerirense game, he opts for Isgayu,
yeah,
instead of Felissimo. So
yeah,
Felissimo's on the naughty list for sure.
Facts, yeah. In terms of individual performances, obviously Gyökeres is great. In terms of negative ones, I didn't think Fresneda was that good. I thought he struggled all game. Seemed like he wasn't really up for it. I think is probably the better way for it. I thought Biel, when he came on, nearly got a really nice assist to Maxi Rougeau, but Maxi Rougeau unfortunately just miscontrols it. I think the pitch was a bit on the worst for wear side, sort of bobbled up over his foot. There's not much he could do. And just to what Chris said about Rui Silva as well, apart from that goal that sort of was between him and St. Just, I've never sort of been nervous about anything Rui Silva's had to do. I feel like none of the goals have been his fault. I feel like he's been genuinely a 10 out of 10 signing since he's came in. And I do wonder, no disrespect to Franco Israel, but if he was still in goal or we still had Blanan Kovacevic, I don't think we would be in this final or in first place.
No, it'd probably be like 5 points off first or more.
Yeah, we'd be already be like, well, let's hope we win the toss if we're even still in it because we're not winning the league, I think.
Yeah, because it's not like Rui Silva isn't facing shots. He's facing quite a lot of them. We've mentioned so many times the defense just falls asleep in the second half. So for me, I just think Rui Silva's been, you know, obviously you look at, you know, the Bast has been a great signing. I think you look at some other guys who've come in have been really good. But have they been as on form as Rui Silva has been? I don't know. I think he's definitely up there for one of our signings of the season, if not the league in general. And of course, I do say if we go and win the league or the Taça or both, I think it's even better. And I think he should be the number one for Portugal going into the next tournament. Obviously, it's still a year to go, but Diogo Costa is looking like a shell of his former self. I don't think Jose Sarri is that good anymore. Patricio's like 37, 38. So maybe it's time for Rui Silva to take the reins. But I guess that depends if Diogo Costa goes to Man City, Man United, wherever he's been linked to. Basically, if he leaves Porto, maybe he goes as a number one. But I think Rui Silva.
It also depends on. I don't know if you guys have gotten this.
Where he's actually going, Al Ittihad.
Yeah. Did you guys see Jose Mourinho's being linked to Portugal again? So, you know.
It's according to one random dude on CNN. I'll believe it when I see something more concrete.
I was just thought he was going to resign due to health reasons or something.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I don't know what's up with that.
I think he's just, you know, Fenerbahce is just.
They dropped points. I think they're 5 points back now.
Like,
it's
for them, they're done.
They were just 3 points off too.
Yeah, they were within one game and now it's 2, so they're screwed probably.
Yeah, but other than that, I've not got much else to say. Anyone else have anything to say about this game, or should we move on to the league game?
We move.
We move.
All right, let's do it. So we've got 2 league games to cover. We'll start off with the most recent one, which is a Sporting 3-1 win. Rui Borges' favourite scoreline. And the lineup is as followed. Rui Silva, Eduardo Quaresma, Diamonde, Inacio, Maxi Rujo, Dabas, Thiormand, Giovanni Kenda, Trincao, Jenny, and hat-trick hero Victor Gyökeres. Off the bench, Pedro Gonçalves, St. Just, Fresneda, Mateus Reis, and of course the GOAT, Ricardo Esgaio. Chris, I'll give it to you first. What are your overall thoughts on this game?
Obviously, between the 2 that we're about to cover, this one was infinitely more comfortable. I actually thought that Morerirense truly played horrible. They were just turnover machines in their own halves. The amount of times they lost the ball in their own final third was easily double digits. It led to so many chances. I think we had 12 shots, or something like that, in the first 30 minutes. I'm glad that we got the early enough goal or 2 because it could have been more. And I was actually kind of surprised by how well it was going. And obviously things, I don't want to say they turned a little bit more in the second half, but I thought that Morerirense was incredibly efficient because they did not deserve to even be in this game, but they got 2 chances, scored 1, and then almost scored another one on a very similar play. Could have been 3-2. These guys deserve to be down 6. It was almost a bit ridiculous. Truthfully, I don't even want to fault the defenders. Obviously, when you're a striker, you're taught to drift in between the center backs, and just 2 pinpoint crosses. Truthfully, one is in the net and one is inches wide. So I guess I'm slightly disappointed that we, you would think at 3 we'd be good, but it almost got a little unnecessarily sketchy. So I'm very happy with this performance. There's obviously nothing more to be said about Victor. I guess I'm trying to remember what his second goal was.
It was
because he scored a free kick.
The first one is a weird kick into the he just.
The first one's the cluster.
Oh, he he dekes out. I just saw it now. He dekes out a guy and just smashes it.
Yeah, and then he gets a in the box kind of just scrum goal as well. So
yeah, that was the first.
All different types of goals, which was the main reason I was trying to remember because I think all 3 of the goals were in different scenarios. He goes goalkeeper side on the free kick, but it's just such a scorcher that the keeper has no chance. Some people who are, fans of bigger clubs in England who have Gyökeres on their radar are they're trying to talk themselves out of Gyökeres because it's it just seems too good to be true. It's there's got to be something wrong with the goalkeepers. The Portuguese league has to be complete dog shit.
Because they're justifying it by he's been in England before and he didn't.
Yeah, so they're they can't even believe it because it is ridiculous. But I don't think it's a fluke. I mean, he really is a machine. And obviously we've seen him get as we're going to talk about in the game before this, Russia, the thug, kind of locked him up for most of the game. So it's not he just fucking scores 10 goals a game and can't ever be stopped. He's human. But I mean, for strikers that have this kind of to use their body, the combination of pace, power, shot. I mean, it's the weakest part of his game is his heading. And I'm sure that will continue to come along as he develops as a finisher. But yeah, it's where will we be without him this season, and where will we be once he leaves? I don't know, but it has been a pleasure, Victor.
Yeah, thick.
Yeah, facts. I'll go next quickly. There's not much to say about, like you said, with Gyökeres. I think the best striker this league's ever seen. People comparing to Falcao. I'm not comparing careers. Obviously, Falcao winning nearly one of the Ballon d'Or winners in 2013 14 was in the team of the year. I'm not comparing their careers, but in terms of just being in the league, for me, Gyökeres is clear the best striker the league's ever seen. People talk about Eusebio. Let's be honest, no one really watched him like out of our age
Who even
group.
is that guy?
Bro, he was coming up against drunks, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say he was playing against
Different
plumbers,
era.
bro.
Stop. We need to stop doing that with eras.
Yeah, facts. But yeah, in terms of since I've been live, best striker, I'd be one of the best players this league has ever seen, and he's only going to go for 70 million. So crazy. But yeah, other than that, I thought this was the best first half performance under Rui Borges we've seen all season. Just complete intensity from minute 0 to 45, and typically from 45 to 90, it was just foot off the gas, inviting pressure, and then they score. And it's just the same old Rui Borges.
It's the same
second
stuff,
half.
different game.
Yeah, and I mean, I know the squad is tired. I completely understand, but there has to be something that Rui Borges can do. Whether it's make substitutions earlier, get the team to be a bit more focused. It's the manager's job at the end of the day. There is something not right with the second halves. We can all see it, but this keeps happening. And if this happens against Benfica, we're going to be in trouble. We saw it when it happened against Porto, when we were 1-0 up and we coasted and they equalised. That cost us valuable points. This cost us valuable points against other teams as well. So I hope they figure it out. Now they've only got one game a week for the next, I think, 4 or 5 weeks. So we should be okay in terms of rest. So hopefully they get their fitness a bit up. In terms of individual performances, I thought Zeno de Bast was incredible this game. So calm on the ball. His first touch is amazing, considering he was brought in to be a centre-back and now he's being a great holding midfielder. And as much as I love Morita and Bragança, I think we haven't missed them that much because De Bast is so good. In terms of obviously a backup option, both of them were missed. But in terms of just a starting midfielder, Zeno de Bast is fantastic. And he has been a revelation, considering at the start we were all like, don't really know about De Bast. Obviously, he scored that great goal against Lille in the Champions League. But then from there, sort of dropped off a bit. And only when he moved back into this midfielder role, he started to get up again. So I'm very impressed with him. Defense, second half sleeping. I thought Quaresma had a poor game, not one of his bests. But I also am aware he's been injured for quite some time and he's still looking to get back into fitness. It was great to see a good ovation of Pedro Gonçalves returning to the Alvalade for the first time in, I believe, nearly 6 months. So it's
it's been a while.
Yeah, hopefully he gets his minutes up a bit more and hopefully he can complete a full 90. But
He
I don't
looked
think
better against Rio Ave than he did. I mean, he was only out there for about 10 minutes in this game, but I'm not gonna lie and say he looked amazing. He didn't.
No,
he looked more like
he just looked rusty.
He's actually healthy.
He looked like a guy who actually just hadn't played in a while.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But other than that, I can't really remember too much about individual performances, obviously, apart from Gyökeres and De Bast. But like I said, very good first half.
Good Maxi game as well, I thought.
Yeah, I thought so, yeah. Good, great first half. I think the best we've seen under Rui Borges, but the second half, unfortunately, more of the same. Richard, what were your overall thoughts on this game?
Yeah, very much the same. Again, first half was phenomenal. I would agree with you that it was probably the best first half, if not one of the best we've had under Rui Borges. Second half was just kind of, again, lackadaisical. They just foot off the gas and coasted. Gyökeres with a hat trick. I mean, there's not much more to say. He probably could have had another 2. He could have had 5 this game by himself. Let alone the rest of the team. Like, the scoreline highly flatters Morerirense. Chris, I think you said they were just absolutely awful. They were so bad, and it showed. How it was 3-1 is beyond me. It should have been 5-0 at half. Hillman was great. I thought Trincao had a good game. De Bast in the midfield as well. Like you said, Sam, you were just singing his praises. I would wholeheartedly agree. He was phenomenal this game. I thought Maxi actually had a decent game as well. He had a couple dangerous balls. He had like 1 scoring chance. Jenny was good this game as well. He was making some good runs. He wasn't just running into guys like he sometimes has a bad habit of doing. No other real standouts for this game. Like you said, Pot came in for a little cameo, was just there. St. Juice came in. I thought he played all right. Frejna the ball. We got some Ivan Frejna the minutes. He was just a dude. He was there. Same with Mateusz Reich. And Ishgayo was just a dude on the field as well.
I think I'm out on Fresneda. Obviously, he's been a decent enough placeholder to,
He's been okay. He's been okay.
He wasn't even like in the team for 6 months. The fact that he's morphed into like a somewhat serviceable player is an upgrade. But I mean, this was a 10 million euro signing.
I would still have Jenny at right back.
This is the best he's looked, and it still leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah, like I'll take, like you said, I'll take him now at least over what we had 5-6.
It's better than this guy. I mean,
oh god, well that's not hard.
I don't know.
Better. If I got in shape,
I think he is. I fear he is.
I feel like when Quaresma's played a little bit of that right back role, especially when we watched the four at the back, I think he's. I don't know if he's better than Fresneda for that role.
To see what we do next season, because surely next season we're not playing 3 at the back. Surely.
I think next season he's going to shift back to 4. I think
I was actually thinking about that because like I can't like we've been like I remember it was like 4-4-2. Then it was like we're going back to the 3, but only because of necessity.
Yeah,
we haven't played with the 4 in a month.
We'll see. We'll see.
We're getting our bodies.
Is that because he's like I've decided that it's easier with this group. They've been playing it for 3-4 years. It just doesn't make sense to change it. And like he wants to go back to the 4 next season if he's back. If it's out of
I think with injuries as well. I think
you had no choice because you had
more necessity than philosophy.
Yeah, I think with the injuries in the middle, because obviously he has to pack out the midfield with. I think he did like the 3 midfielders where it was like it would have been Trincao above like Morita and Hjulmand. And I think at that point, it's just like go back to the 3 because we don't have the bodies for it. I think in pre-season, hopefully next season, coming season, I think we will go back to the 4, especially with Pedro Gonzalez back, because I think he'll be great behind the striker.
We'll see some.
I agree.
We'll see some experimentation, I think, in the preseason, probably, like you said, Chris. It wouldn't shock me if he does try going back to the 4.
This is assuming Greyboy is our manager.
Yeah, or assuming he's still the coach.
Surely.
I'm assuming he will be. I'm going to run under that assumption for now, unless they have an.
But I just wouldn't give a straight answer to it yesterday.
I think the only way he's not. I think the only way he's not back is if they have like an epic collapse over the next couple weeks, like a
If he takes home 0 trophies this season.
Takes home 0 trophies, and it's in spectacular fashion.
I think bringing home 1 trophy is enough to bring him back.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But I still think we're keeping him on even if we bring home 0 trophies.
Yeah.
Mainly because that speech that Varandas gave yesterday was kind of like a
weird one.
A loser speech in a sense. Like I get what he's saying. He's galvanizing the lads at one point. But by saying like, look at the group we have. Like, look at all the injuries. Like, it also feels like he's already setting up.
Yeah, it's like it's excuses, but it's not excuses because it's working out, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
it's covering his bases for if disaster strikes. I think is what it is.
Yeah,
damage.
I think that's what it's pre-damage control. It's PR. It's PR stuff. At the end
I think Rui Borges. I think if Rui Borges gets sacked, it's like October. November.
Well, like really early if they start.
Yeah.
It could be January, it could be later. I'm just saying, like, if there's going to be a time, if we end up with 0 trophies, the time I think he won't be sacked in the summer.
Oh yeah, he'll be on like a very short leash.
Short leash.
Yeah. After 2 draws, 2 losses, or some shit like that. Champions League coming off like really bad. Boom, he's out of here.
Yeah.
Getting Ian Castro. I'm saying it here.
Okay.
But I think his contract's only till next year, so it's not even that long.
Yeah, he signed a 2-year deal.
Crazy.
Yeah, Jean Pereira had a longer contract, which is crazy.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, exactly. So
crazy. I have nothing to add to this game, by the way. This was a comfortable 3-1 win, other than the fact they kind of shit the bed in the second half. Yeah, this is Joe Carey's hat trick. He's my man of the match this game as well. I also made a mistake. We actually have 4 league games left, plus the Tossa games. We have 5 games left. 5 games, get 10 goals is not outrageous for him to tie/break the club record, which would be insane if he does that.
Is it a?
I was 100.
Who is that? Who is there? Is it a Peyroteo?
For a single season all comps, it's Peruteo with 58.
And it's like, bro, I mean, no offense, but like, I think if he gets 58 in 2025, it's more impressive.
It's more impressive.
Not to say it's unimpressive to do it in any year.
Teams were playing with literally like 2 defenders and like 8 forwards.
Different game.
Like,
different game.
Very different. So it's like comparing any other sport to like the time in like the 50s. Like
Will Chamberlain 100-point game. Never forget.
It's like hockey. Like hockey players, hockey players played not only with helmets. There's hockey players who didn't have the forward pass. Like you can't compare the records. But yeah, if he's got 5 games left to get 10 goals, I would not put it past him to go ballistic in a game or 2.
Yeah, if he gets like 4 in one of them, especially, which is possible.
I mean, I'm putting predictions. I put a hat trick. I saw Sam's prediction. I'm not gonna spoil, but I've put him to get goals that game in the Boavista game.
He's also 9 away from getting 100. Just putting that out there as well.
For the first squad.
9.
Has he scored more than? Has he scored more than Bas Dost yet, or what?
It's got to be close.
No, I think
Got a
Dost
couple
was
off.
110 because he was.
No, I'm saying in a season.
Oh, in a season, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's only
sure.
behind Jardel and Peruteo, I want to say.
Well, I think he's about to tie Jardel with his next couple goals.
Yeah,
And
I
then,
think
Peruteo is the only other one.
Jardel had like 42 in the league. So I don't know how much your Chris has. Let me check.
There was a graphic tweeted the other day.
He's got 33 in the league.
Yeah, he's gonna win. He's already clinched the Golden Boot.
Like, yeah, he's doubling up. He's doubling up.
Double second place.
If I'm not mistaken. Second place is like 16. He's on 30 somehow.
It's insane. Like you will not see this again for a long time in Portugal. A player this dominant, I think.
Yeah, it's
like this much.
I mean, I truthfully like. I remember thinking in 2018, 17, 19, like, wow, like enjoy it because Bruno Fernandes is going to be the best sporting player that you're going to see in your lifetime,
and
with your own eyes.
Yeah, with my own that I can recall.
Crazy that like that might not even be true 6 years later. Like,
it's a good debate.
it's a debate to have.
I think the debate's over, man. I think Gyökeres is too far gone.
Yeah,
especially 2 league titles. No, I know Bruno Fernandes
got to win another trophy.
But Bruno's teams were infinitely worse, though.
Bruno's teams were bad.
Low-key, Bruno's Taça de Portugal against Benfica, like that semi-final performance.
Yeah.
And then us going on to win it, which was the last time we've won it. I think it's
every time
it might be equivalent to last year's title.
Every time I see the free kick goal he scored at the end of the first leg, I'm like, Svilar, bro, that is
that's brutal.
Svilar is killing it right now.
But now he's good.
Then you look somehow. At the goal in the second, the game-winning goal in the second leg, which is again, it's near post on his weak foot, and Svilar just has.
He doesn't do himself any favors on that one either. But
yeah,
that one
is
a better
doesn't have anything covered. Like it's a great shot. They're both good shots. Like I don't want to take away from Bruno, but it's like Svilar, you need to cover your corners better, buddy.
But with that being said, the only thing I even want to mention about this, since we're on the Gyökeres thing. This might sound a little wild, but other than heading, I think Gyökeres is like a similar play style to like Ronaldo in a sense.
Whoa,
trying to take on the guy, smashes it, has a good right foot, good left foot, just can't head it for sure.
He's kind of like a hybrid between like modern Ronaldo and older.
Sorry,
Ronaldo.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
You know,
yeah, like our nine.
Because once the pacing, like the outpacing guys down the wing era, changed. It became more the target man era. And he's kind of a mix of both. Obviously, he's not the target man that Ronaldo is. But I think he can probably hold the ball up slightly better. Ronaldo's a better finisher just overall. Yeah. But I mean, if Gyökeres can improve his heading, he could come close.
Yeah, and I'm really saying
he's like if Ronaldo was a bully in front of the fence. Like
Ronaldo was a bully. Ronaldo was a bully.
No, Ronaldo wasn't as physical as Gyökeres. Is never as physical.
He was. He was. Nah. He had the body too. He's a big boy as well. Ronaldo. Okay, maybe not.
I'm talking Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah, me too.
Oh no, I disagree with you.
I think you're missing the comparison to Adriano before. Obviously, he went off that way.
That's to me is a more fair comparison. That to me is a more fair.
It's kind of a player that
than-
doesn't exist anymore. You know?
Yeah.
It's like a power forward in hockey. It's just
Yeah.
a dude who is big, physical, and scores lots of goals. I feel like that's actually a way more fair comparison than comparing to either of them or not. I think Adriano's a better comparison.
For sure.
Good.
But
ball knowledge from
Adriano-
Sam Fonseca there. Good ball knowledge
As
from
he
you,
always
my
has.
friend.
Adriano wasn't as skillful as Gyökeres is. Gyökeres, bro, I've seen him take on a few guys like on the wings, cutting in.
I still think
off.
it's a better.
I still think
it's a better.
In terms of pace and power, though, that's where the comparison. I agree in terms of the first touch and skillful. Gyökeres has that taking on defenders, but in terms of physicality, pace, prime Adriano, I think is
that's a great shout from you, Sam. Good comparison.
But at the same time, I'm too young for those days, bro.
Bro, you're older than me.
How old are you?
The only 30-year-old on the panel right now. But
I remember Adriano growing up.
I remember Adriano.
When I was a kid, he was like on Inter. Dude, I had an action figure.
Adriano Pez 6.
It's 06.
Streets you're never gonna forget. Pez 2007, Adriano and Inter just shooting the ball from anywhere. Streets aren't gonna forget that, brother. Come on.
Never, bro.
Facts. Danny, do you have anything to say on this game?
Nah, that was pretty much it. You guys hit the nail on the head there. Oh, great free kick from Gyökeres as well. That should.
That was a crazy shot.
That shit was like a penalty.
I don't know if you saw on the like the actual game, the camera catches him saying, "I think it's to Trincao." He's like, "I'm gonna go near post or keep aside."
Keeper say he's gonna go like that side or whatever. Yeah. I did not catch
third
that.
free kick this season.
Third or fourth. Yeah, he's got a few.
Crazy.
Yeah. They've all been pretty.
Let's get on to the last game.
We went under the wall for one of them.
This one was a bit of an ugly game. It was a 1-0 against Santa Clara. I think everyone thought this could be the game that trips us up. We lost them at home, of course, under João Pereira. But definitely a very tough game. But the lineup is as followed. Rui Silva in goal, Eduardo Quaresma, Diamonde, Inacio, Dabast, Hjulman, Fresneda, Maxi, Trincao, Jenny with the goal, and Gyökeres off the bench, St. Just, Kenda, Harder, Pedro Gonzalez for his actual return to football for the past 5 months, and Mateus Reis. Richard, what were your overall thoughts on this game? I know it was a while ago. So
this was a scrappy game. This was a very scrappy game. This was very what's the word I'm looking for? Ugly at times, I would say. This was just not a great game for anybody, especially a neutral. Santa Clara has reason to be pissed right off. Eduardo Quaresma fouls. I forget who it is in the box, and they don't call it. They don't even go to VAR for it, which astonished me because we were all thinking, that's at least go to VAR, but we were thinking it's a pen. I was assuming it's a penalty. Definitely got away with one, I think. We get the goal. It was a nice ball in through Jenny with a good shot. Just kind of puts past keeper. And then just their last like 10, 15 minutes was just like anti-Jogu. Like you wouldn't believe it. It was just like fouls and ball being kicked out of bounds, pushing and shoving. It was just the worst of Portuguese football. A lot of this game is what I felt. It just was not a fun game to watch. There wasn't like a lot of scoring opportunities as we can tell looking at the goal point.
They had more shots than us.
They had more shots, but looking at the goal point, like expected goals, like both teams were expected to score less than one goal. So, I mean, this wasn't a very good game. Like I said, wasn't a very exciting game. Not a good game for a neutral, that's for sure. Santa Clara is a tough team. Obviously, they've taken points off us already this season. They were a tough draw when we played them in the toss as well. It took us extra time to get past them. This game was no exception. They're a well-organized team. They hit you on the counter. And it's good to see, even though we rip on the island team, it's good to see them doing well and see an island team doing all right, especially the Azorians. They need something because that's like their only team, right? So
and it wasn't that long ago they got relegated and came back up. So
yeah, right away they've been kind of a bit of a mainstay the last 4 or 5 years in the first division. So it's whatever, it is what it is. They don't have the Benfica rip-off logo anymore, so I'll give them points for that.
Now they
Yes.
just look like they have an AI generated logo.
Now it just looks like something that looks so AI generated. What bro? Like what is going on? It's an improvement, but it's still kind of AI.
At least
generated.
it's their own logo, you know.
It's there. They can call it theirs. There's no logo like it that I've seen. So, yeah, that was it. I'm happy with the boss. I thought he was phenomenal this game. Jenny was good. Ignacio was good. Hillman's always good, pretty much. No real complaints about anybody. It was just kind of a scrappy, ugly game, and the less that's said about it, the better, I think.
Yeah, facts. I'll go quickly because I don't have much to say. It was a change, really, from what a reboard game is. I thought we were poor in the first half and much better in the second, especially because, Jenny scores in the 50th minute, I think, pretty much a few minutes after half time. And it was still nerve-wracking, but I thought we played really well, managed to contain them quite a lot. It's a bit scary towards the last sort of few minutes, but managed to hold them off. And I think apart from the Benfica game, which is yet to come, this could be the result we look back on and say, this is one of the games that won us the title. If we get there, of course, Benfica still games to go, Vitória Guimarães still games to go. But in terms of games that could have tripped us up, and Santa Clara, no slouches. They have been really good this season. So it's not an easy game, especially an away game. Like I mentioned, they beat us at home before. So in terms of being able to go out there and go for the win was really good. And, we mentioned it in games gone now, but it's great to see Pedro Gonçalves back. Hopefully he can, finish a game with 90 minutes this season, although I think it's unlikely at this point. But I reckon maybe get a 60-minute out of him is better than having no minutes with him. But yeah, I thought we were very good this game. Scary game, but I think we played very well, and it was a champion-like performance. Danny, what were your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I agree with that too, Sam. I was going to say that as well, that if we do win the league, this is one of the games we'll look back at. I think this is the game that made us at least it seemed like it made the players really believe that, if we win this game, we can really do something in the league. And then consequently, Benfica dropped points as well, which was great. I thought this was as much as we were praising Gyökeres, this is a poor game from Gyökeres. He could have put the game to bed. I believe it was it was the second half. He hits the post or hits the bar. On the Jenny goal, we were talking shit about Fresneda, and I agree. But I was watching the highlights now. He actually wins the ball in midfield, passes it to, I think it was Trincão, whoever it was that got the assist. Yeah, Trincão. Trincão slides it to Jenny. Jenny slots it bottom corner.
It doesn't really seem like it's going to create the Trincão pass doesn't seem like it's going to be an obvious scoring opportunity.
Nah, it's a tough angle for him to shoot too. It's a tough angle. So credit to Jenny there. Jenny probably seen before the game, as Richard mentioned, the old Santa Clara logo and just thought we were playing Benfica.
I thought we were playing Benfica. I was like, hang on, let me do something real quick.
There's got to be old signage still in there, bro. There's no shot that replaced it all.
Oh, somewhere, I'm sure.
No
he saw like a kid or something, and he was red mist, man. He was just ready to fucking go.
The penalty that the rivals were talking about, I agree. I think it's a penalty.
Don't know how they missed it. The game
I'm astonished they
the game
even
stops almost
look at it
right after that, and I definitely didn't look at it.
I think Quaresma knew as well. If you look at the replay, he's like,
he knows he got away with one.
It's a really stupid challenge too. The guy's back's turned 16 yards from goal. You don't need to clatter into the back of him or try to win the ball immediately.
I agree.
It's also one of them. If it's given, it's not being overturned. Like VAR.
No.
Oh, they're not going to be like, second thought. No, that's
there's contact. You don't touch the ball. Yeah, they can't overturn it. So
let me also say, when it comes to three at the back, I think I would prefer St. Just in there than Quaresma, especially now, and especially given Quaresma's recent form.
He's
personally.
I actually think St. Just is not in the greatest form either, but I think it's probably still slightly better than Quaresma's form right now, which is also not that amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was a tough game, I guess we all predicted, but I'm glad we still got the win. Diamande also scored, I believe it was a 3-centimeter goal offside or some shit like that.
Yeah.
So, they can complain about the penalty, but no complaint about 3-centimeter goal now. But if it's scored against us, there it is. But when it's for us, there's no complaints anymore. Yeah, I thought. Oh, and DeBast, I thought really played really well this game as well. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if we need to move him back in center back next season, especially if we play 4 at the back. We might as well keep him in the midfield. If we can play with 3 midfielders, even better. Get a creative guy just in front of. If Human stays, I'm not sure if he will, but in front of Human and DeBast would be perfect in my opinion. Yeah. Other than that, I want to reemphasize a thing Christian said earlier. It's so good to have Rui Silva because I think without Rui Silva, it wasn't a lot of big saves, but Lord knows what they would have tried if Franco was in it. I think they would have tried even more long distance shots. So yeah, and we mustn't forget it was windy.
It's always windy.
Facts. Chris, what about you? What are your overall thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, this was incredibly scary. This was we played before Benfica Arouca. So I'm thinking, we get a draw here. Benfica's gonna win. It's gonna be 4 points. That's literally curtains right there. So in my head, this is a must win. And it's in a way, I guess, kind of fortunate because it's not our best game. We didn't create that many chances. Our star man got locked up. And the Jenny gets a half chance on a through ball and makes the most of it. Like Danny said, we had the ball in the back of the net a second time, which that really felt like, okay, we're good now. There's a long review and it's back to 1-0, and all of a sudden the game is sketchy again. We did, I guess, the last 10 minutes, 85 through the end. We definitely did our thing where we sit back and fight a lot of pressure. Thankfully, their best chance was in that time frame. The best chance that they carved out in that 10-minute stretch of pressure was a shot from outside the box, which just skipped just wide. I think Rui Silva probably had it covered, but I mean, if it's on target, who knows? Maybe we've got an offside game on our hands where they score a banger in the last minute. So very, very sketchy. Just a survive and advance game. It was I did ultimately I think that this is probably the biggest result of the season because of what happened in the other matches during this match day. But in my mind, I'm thinking we just got to win just to keep this going, to stay alive till next week. But it ended up being a result that put us back into first place because we kind of got a very fortunate result in the other game. I watched most of that second half. Arouca definitely had stretches early on in the second half where they were good creating chances. Arouca and Santa Clara. Santa Clara higher up in the table. Arouca much lower in the table. But dude, they gave us trouble every time we played them this season. Arouca is, they're like there's no way they're going down. I'll say that. They're too good this year to go down. And I don't even, they're going to avoid that relegation playoff as well. I think.
We need to look at the standings after
but
who's getting relegated to the second here.
So I didn't really fully believe, especially after Benfica went back up 2-1 in the 85th minute. Arouca did not. They created one chance in the last 10 minutes. It's a through ball that isolates a guy, crosses it in. It somehow goes through every Benfica player, and the dude just finishes it perfectly at the back post. I was celebrating that one pretty hard at the cribbo. I really didn't believe it was going to happen. I thought it was going to be a frustrating 2-1 loss that just keeps everything the same until next week. Obviously, if that was the case, we would still technically control our own destiny because we could win at the lose and pass them. So despite continuing in second, it wouldn't have been over. But we had to get this result at Santa Clara. We did. And it proved to be truly invaluable result.
And really quick on that Benfica Roca. Roca deserved the draw, bro. Okay, the first half, Benfica had their chances. In the second half, for the first 15, 20 minutes, Roca had 4 or 5 opportunities. We'll say 3, 4 opportunities where they deserved at least a goal out of it.
Yeah.
Benfica could barely control possession. Roca was on them.
And then Benfica had a lot of chances.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then from a counter attack, like the little team they are, Benfica get the 1-0. It's been one of those seasons. Anytime I've watched Benfica, I felt like it's been one of those seasons for them where it's a moment where they're like under the cosh, they just barely survive it. They go on a counter attack, and either Di Maria or even Shelhoop at some points, they just go up the other end. Pavlidis just gets on the end of it, and fair enough, Pavlidis is a decent finisher, but as a rival, it's just so frustrating because they think they're better than what they are, in my opinion. But I digress.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll look at the league predictions before we look at the league table, because I believe there has been some movement.
There was a ton of movement between you guys. All swap places like 3 times in the last week.
So we look at Clara first.
I missed
1-0, 3 points. There we go. Got the wrong goal scorer, but got the win and
points.
the result. And then
that's
the
a
rest
big 3. That's a big 3 there, Sam.
That was a huge 3.
Yeah.
Back-to-back big 3s from Sam, actually.
Yeah, Gyökeres times 2, 4-0. None of the other goal scorers. Richard got 3 as well. Chris and Danny forgetting to put predictions in. But I also
in Mexico.
I forgot to do the Tassa, to be fair. So Chris gets a big 3 here.
Chris gets a big 3 from the exact score line. No scorers, but he gets a score line. So
making up the ground he lost to Sam. I respect it.
Yeah, I respect the hell out of that.
And then if we look at the top of the table, me and Danny.
That should be Chris up top. Sorry, change the first Danny to Chris.
Okay, so me and Danny are level on points, joint 3rd place, even though for some reason I'm below him. But
goal difference.
Goal difference.
1 point ahead is Chris, and of course, many points ahead is Richard.
We're coming down to the stretch here for the 2nd place.
Yeah.
If we compare to last year, if I'm bold, what?
No, I'm saying you're Liverpool. Yeah. Me, Chris, and Sam are like Nottingham Forest, Arsenal, and City.
From last year. Richard,
last year, I don't know that I'm going to hit my points from last year. It's going to be close. I don't think any of us are going to hit the heights we hit last year. So a bit of a down year for everybody, but we move.
Yeah, I suppose. It's a bit far off now. Unless we somehow manage to get as many points as possible.
Well, I've seen your prediction for this week already. If that prediction hits, you're gonna get hella points.
I've gone for 7-0.
Jesus Christ!
No shot.
Boys, I have bad news for you, bro.
Gyökeres times 4.
That shithouse Park the Bus manager probably has never conceded 7 in his career.
It is. Who I've never heard of, by the way. I
was going through mid-show to make sure I had everything updated. I saw that. I took everything I had not to burst out laughing while one of you guys was recapping the Morerirense game. I was dying at this prediction.
On Sunday, you won't be laughing when we win 7-0 and Gyökeres scores 4. And Quaresma scores like a 90th minute.
That is crazy work from you, man. I respect it.
That's more absurd than the 7-0 is Quaresma scoring.
Yeah. What's more absurd, the Quaresma goal or the score line?
Bro, it's more likely that Ricardo Quaresma's son is gonna play from like the U12s and score a goal.
Quaresma goal.
They've got a
minus
for 4 difference of 27. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I've gone for a 4-0 Gyökeres hat trick, Pot getting a goal cameo. Not quite as bold as Sam, but I think Bovish is just going to be fucking depleted and exhausted this game. Mentally.
It's going to be funny when they like beat us or we draw.
It's going to be amazing when they win like 2-1.
Yeah. Chris, what are your predictions for this game?
I'm going to go 1-0.
Fair.
With Trincão as the goal scorer.
Not even Gyökeres. He's gone very different.
I'm going conservative.
I respect it.
Go on, Danny.
I was also going to hit 1-0. Let me do. I'm debating on 3-1 or 2-1, but it's going to be tight. It's going to be a 2-1. Boavista is going to take the lead.
You should have
Yeah,
gone for the
that's
Reborge 3-1
Gonna be
scoreline.
horrible.
I was
Yeah,
thinking that too.
the really large special.
Who are you guys? You're saying 4-0 and 7-0. Who are you guys?
The Reborn
we
special is
don't-
They
not
they
don't, they don't attention us.
But yeah, that's all in the
Rich.
first half because we know what they're like. By the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
7 goals in the first half.
7 goals in the first, they'll concede 4 in the second.
7-1, yeah.
Yeah.
7-4 would be actually pretty realistic.
It's fucking hockey scores.
I'll go with Gyökeres, and I do like the pot shout. I'll go with Gyökeres, and you know what? The best for
Ooh, I like that from you.
The best.
Yeah.
We still have 3 other games after this week. I screwed up. I thought we only had 3 games left. There's still technically, including the Boavista game, 4 league games left.
Yeah, and 1 Taça de Portugal.
And the
final.
Taça de Portugal final, which I've already filled in the section for it anyways, for us to predict scores.
Nice. Let's look at the league table then, shall we? Because we are down to the wire. As you mentioned, only a few games remaining. Of course, Sporting and Benfica joint on points if the results...
That goal difference is getting mighty close too, though.
Yeah. But luckily it goes to head-to-head, so depending on what the result is, who knows? Obviously, it's going to be a tough game either way. But yeah, Braga and Porto battling out for third place. That'll be an interesting one, especially with, I don't know if you guys have seen the controversy around like 6 or 5 of the Porto players partying out late.
Thiago
The only reason they got in trouble is because there's video of it.
There's video of it. Someone didn't take
Because
video.
everyone was at
Also-
Marco Grujic just party and no one got in
Yeah,
trouble because no one
Nobody got in
filmed it.
trouble. Bro, the guy filming, I get you. You're a diehard Porto fan. Porto's had a shit season. You're
Think
such a
about it.
loser.
You're a
Such a
clown.
loser.
You're a touch
You're such a
grass.
snitch, bro.
Touch
You
grass.
guys better be proud. Look at you guys. Hide.
Maybe he tried to pull
Loser,
up to the
bro.
party and they were like, bro, get the fuck out of here. And then
Yeah,
he
get
was
the
like,
fuck out
"Alright."
of here. And then he's
Like,
like,
bro, you're not invited.
even more of a
You're invited.
loser.
Who invited blood? Like, get out of here.
Yeah, I agree. And then I
Was
guess we
it-
can go down.
The other thing is, was it Otavio, like Saudi Arabia Otavio, or a different?
No, it was
No,
the
no,
centre
the
back.
guy who's there now.
Oh, the Family Cone defender.
Yeah.
The former Family Cone defender. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even read the full article, bro. I was just
At
skimming
first, I
headlines.
thought it was that Otavio too.
Yeah, I was
But
like,
then
oh,
when I
because he
looked at
came
the
back
video,
home to
hang
have a
on.
party. I don't fucking know. It's not that crazy.
Like, who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guy's tired of Ronaldo. Ronaldo and Shirley.
Still a decent battle for 5th, I suppose. I think Estoril are too far gone at this point, but Caspia can make up points depending. Because Vitória Guimarães have got Benfica and Sporting to go. So, Santa Clara could leapfrog them. From in account, maybe a few games off.
Benfica's got to play Guimarães. Obviously, they've got to play Estoril still as well. They're not lose. I don't think they lose points to
Benfica played
ABS.
Benfica have
Benfica already played Guimarães. That's
Braga.
right.
Yeah.
Braga,
I think
yeah,
you're thinking
sorry.
Braga.
They played
yeah.
Braga. They played Braga. That's right. They just played Guimarães. I was hoping Guimarães could do us a favor, and then they just didn't.
Bruno Varela, man. I'm telling you. Former Benfica goalkeeper. Someone should look into that, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trubin also made like 3 wicked saves during that game.
Unreal.
Like,
Yeah. Again,
Yeah.
another game where it's like Guimarães have like most of possession. They're doing really well.
Benfica
They should have a goal,
needs
at least one goal.
they
Go
deserved
to
it.
the
They
end, they
deserved a
score.
couple goals. They deserved a goal or two. They had Trubin was crazy on a couple of those saves. Bottom,
Yeah.
Finance is down there. Eh? That's too bad.
Yeah,
Benfica
Bobby's
play
beat them.
I think everybody from Nacional upwards is fine.
Unfortunately, Nacional's.
I think Gil
yeah.
Vicente probably okay as well.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe.
I think she'll be sent. So I think it's really, yeah, you know what? You're right. I think it's basically from Firenze to Estrella, I think, are the teams that are danger zone. Benfica plays Oz. We've got a game against Boavista. Obviously, we also have a game after
look at how
Boavista
that
to Gil
shows up,
Vicente.
too.
So,
It's the
Yeah.
script writers were really good on making the schedule this season. I'm not gonna lie.
oh, in their bag.
You know, like
Absolutely
Boavista
bad.
and Avs the same weekend, both relegation
Both
candidates.
relegation game for both teams.
Benfica, Sporting gonna face head to head. Then both the title like contenders, potential winners, are gonna go to Guimarães and Braga at the last day of the season. Like,
Where they could still both, where like if it's still up in the air, one of them just needs to screw up.
Yeah,
Like,
which
yeah.
won't be Benfica obviously because they're playing Braga. But anyways, what's
Yeah.
up, David?
You never know, man. You never know.
Hopefully,
This is
hopefully.
yeah.
David,
This is
do us
about
a
to be
favor.
a fucking
Do us a
movie.
solid, David.
Do us a solid, Dave. I've never cheered for Braga before in my life, but I will be a Braga fan on that day if I need to be. Mashallah.
Facts. I guess what we'll end off with is Federico Varandas' little interview he gave after the Rio Ave game. Definitely a weird one, sort of that he was going to announce that he was going to talk to the press, and sort of out of nowhere. I'm just going to paraphrase a bit of this interview. He pretty much says, we mentioned it earlier, that the team's at sort of 70% capacity with all the injuries. Say that Trincao and Hjulmand are currently playing with injuries. I think Trincao broke his hand. I believe it was against Santa Clara, I want to say.
Yeah.
He also said this squad is the most valuable squad in Sporting's history. Of course, most of that's probably to Victor Gyökeres, but also guys like Hjulmand, De Bast, Kenda, etc. Many great players in there. One of the interesting points I thought, and it's something that set up a tiny bit of controversy on social media, was when he said, the fans now need to get behind the squad and make sure they always support. But people were saying, like, we've been doing that all season. And some people point to when, the flare was thrown in Gyökeres' direction and things like that. So, yeah, but I still don't think I get what he's trying to say, but I just think,
he was trying to call out a small portion of the shitheads in the fan base and kind of blanketed it over everybody, and it just fell flat, I think.
Yeah.
I more so when I heard it, it was more so like he was trying to galvanize the fans more so than anything.
I get it, but
I'm with you guys though. Like, we have been like this, especially the last few games, their support has been unreal. And
exactly. Especially coming into the stadium against Morerirense, that was a fantastic atmosphere. Probably the best.
That alone gave us the confidence to go out firing, in my opinion. So
I feel like this was such an unneeded interview. I feel like this was such an unneeded interview.
And also, sorry, last thing, even the support in Açores.
There was great support.
One corner of all Sporting that Harder went to go celebrate afterwards.
Yeah.
Red also, by the way, that we forgot to mention. Got a red for saying we've had unreal support. I get what he's trying to do, but I'm with you guys. Like, what's the point? Like, okay, we're going to a final, cool, but there's no need to, like. My main thing with whenever he talks is that, okay, yes, maybe you're trying to galvanize the fans. You're also trying to, like, it could also easily backfire and just motivate the rivals.
Yeah.
And it did last time against Porto, if you remember. Exactly. I know it was leaked, and technically that's not his fault. And I know he's going to say that behind closed doors, so I'm not going to run for that. But look what happened when that got leaked. Like I said, it's not his fault. But
it pissed off the Porto guys, and it gave them motivation for that game. Not that they needed.
Rumor has it, and Selmy is still celebrating to this day.
Knee slides in his living room.
But yeah, I think it's very weird timing. I get we're going to a final, but I also think this is something you say maybe at the end of the season before the game against Benfica in the final, where you say, like, obviously depending on what happens in the league, like, this has been, all things considered, a bad season, right? Not in terms of results, but in terms of the amount of injuries we've had, manager leaving mid-season. I'm
gonna put it this way. They could win the double this season. I would still not give them an A for the season. I would give them a C for just how disastrous things have been.
The board.
Oh, the board. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I was
they could win.
Yeah, C's harsh, but I'm still. I hear you.
They could win a double. I still wouldn't be that happy.
Low key, the fact that they're even at this point is kind of a miracle. They had a sufficient lead in the league, a 3-game lead, brought in a new manager, and just completely tanked. That would end a lot of team season right there, but they have been able to claw back and get back, basically. So all could have been lost, and it wasn't. So it feels more fortunate than anything that we're in this position.
Yeah.
Also, sorry.
No, go on, Daddy.
I was just gonna say, also, like, cool that you're coming out to speak, but why is it always? It's always after like the good times that he comes out to make a speech.
He never
like
comes
this.
out when things
It's
go
never
bad.
when things are hard. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
he comes out to talk about João Pereira after he hires Rui Borges, after Rui Borges gets the win at the Luge, after Rui Borges gets a few results. Then he says, João Pereira has an injury crisis. We didn't allow João Pereira to be João Pereira. Like, where was this in the hard times, though?
And if
it's
you remember
easy to talk after.
that question from the journalist, and he was like, the day I sack a manager because like the fans wanted to, I'm paraphrasing here, but it was pretty much what he was saying. Was
I'm not letting the fans run the team. I run the team, basically.
Yeah, and then
So
I think a week later he was sacked. So. But
exactly.
The only two things I would say a negative points about this interview wasn't even the bit about the fans. The valuable squad thing. What does that do?
What does that do for me? That doesn't mean great. Our squad could be worth a peanuts. I wouldn't care. I care more about the result on the field.
It's a great line to say when he's running for re-election or in the off season when we're like, we're going to make loads of money.
This is not the time to say that line.
Yeah, we've got loads of money invested in these players. We spent a lot, but they're worth like 10 times more than we bought them for some of them. But I think saying that before the season's finished is like, are you trying to tell us this is what it's all about? Is our squad's really valuable? We know it's valuable because at one point, I would argue, especially when we were third in the Champions League, fourth in the Champions League, one of the most exciting squads in Europe, obviously with injuries and stuff that put it a bit down. But we were fantastic. The way we dismantled Man City, I know they were obviously a bit hurt in that game, but still dismantling Man City in that game. Great performances against Lille and teams like that. I mean, great performance against Porto as well.
When you look at this team and the club where they were in October, November, you look at the vibe around the club, you look at the optimism around the club, and you look at it now, and it's like two different clubs.
Yeah,
like they were that is night and day. You cannot compare those two. Which
is not a good look for Varandas because it's
it looks horrible.
To what we were of course, but it's to what we were saying in terms of where is this team going to be, a year ago when we were saying, where is this team going to be without Ruben Amorim? It just goes to show that Ruben Amorim, the work he did at Sporting, I mean, I understand fans have a gripe towards him right now, whatever. Bypass all of that. The work he did at Sporting is no less than amazing.
Yeah.
Because not only did he take a bunch of Joe Schmoes that finished fourth and pretty much took the kids and everybody and bought smart, of course, took them to being champions. The next year didn't win, but kept them competing. Even in the year we finished fourth, it wasn't great, but we were still playing some great stuff. And then goes on to win it.
Yeah.
Stunning Arsenal. We did really well in the Europa League that year. We lost to Juve.
We lost to Juve, and we really deserved to go through, I would say.
And not to mention, I mean, the year before, if we maybe placed Juve in the Champions League, what happens there as well, right? But nonetheless, like the work, and also, sorry, and my last point was, without that start that Ruben Amorim had this season, where are we in the league this year? With the points we dropped with João Pereira and even now Rui Borges, where are we without that fantastic start of Ruben Amorim? So the commentaries, the constantly linking us to, this is such a poor season because we lost our manager and then we had an injury crisis, but the main focus being we lost our manager. The fact that the club was just dependent on one man, maybe two men because of Hoop Viana, but what did we do January with him anyways? Because of one man, it's kind of embarrassing.
It feels like a cop-out.
Yeah, but hopefully we win the league. If we win the league this season, maybe Rui Borges has enough steam to go through the next year. Even if we don't win, if we can compete, I think that would still be a good look for us. We'll see what we do with sales this year. We'll see what we do with wins, with transfers this summer as well. But it's not a really good look. And I think the elections are in a year or two. I think it's like another year.
They're coming up
another year.
26.
So
yeah.
He needs to really he needs to get next season really right. Of course, if we win the league this season, cool. If next season is a disaster and fans still want to reelect this guy or this direction or this administration,
but who else is there though? That's just like you need a candidate to come out like last year or now to be like, you
For
know,
sure.
I'm gonna run for. I'm gonna
And
But
the
run
at
for
the
perfect
same
time,
time,
the
right
perfect
now
time to
is
do
not
that
a-
is when Amorim leaves. You need someone steps up and be
Yeah.
like, oh yeah,
like,
this
I'm
is
gonna be
what
the
I
guy.
want.
Yeah.
But
And even
another point to that is also if you do really love the club, you also don't come out when Amorim leaves because you don't want to cause more chaos towards the club than was
Yeah,
already
that's true.
needed.
It also
right?
just looks blatantly like you're trying to capitalize on.
Yeah,
the
you look like an
situation.
opportunist.
Yeah,
I mean,
Exactly.
that's
true.
not a
But
good
if you
look either.
remember Nuno Sousa, he was an opportunist in the case of like he was shitting on Vinagre for like the whole election. Like this guy was
Yeah.
signed for 10 million
Like,
euros.
how could
Yeah.
you sign this garbage? Like,
And he
what
was
are you
still on
doing?
the team at that point. He was still like one of our left backs.
He was
So,
still a guy. Yeah, he was still a dude. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
But the last thing I want to say about this interview from my perspective, I said, you know, the valuable thing I really didn't understand. But the timing, if he comes out and he just says after this game, you know, we've had a really tough season. Like we do have a squad of 70%. Some of the players are injured, but we've made it to the final. Let's stay behind the team, blah, blah, blah. Cool. I'm happy with that.
yeah,
That's
if he
fine.
sat there and said we're still in the fight for a championship, we're in a final, we're right where we want to be, which is we're competing for trophies, which is where we should always be. I don't think anyone has an issue with that, but this felt like this was such an unneeded interview, and it
It's
felt like a
like-
lot of what he said felt like cop out answers, or whatever. It just wasn't.
He
was
really
not needed.
needs a publicist because I feel like this needs to be someone be like, okay,
Who
this
runs
is
this
what you need to
PR?
say. You need to say this, this, and this because
Who's running their PR? Like, I'll be your PR director because this is PR 101. Is shut up unless there's a reason to talk.
because you know what he singled out Human and Trincao, right?
Yeah.
If I'm Otamendi, I'm like, okay, I'm going hard on Human. I'm going hard on Trincao. I'm going to keep obviously a hand is a bit different, but if it's Human with his knee, I'm going to go hard on Human.
Yep.
So it's just like
Like,
you
bro,
can just say, you know, we're
shut up.
still not 100%, blah blah blah. Yeah, I just feel like someone needs to be there and say like, you need to say this, and you know, someone needs to guide him there. And I feel like for maybe the first few years of Amorim, he only came out and spoke when we won the league. And you know, he said some things about rivals and whatever. But at the end of the day, we won the league. Fair enough. You know, do your victory lap, fine with me. But then he just keeps coming up this season, especially just saying things that just don't make sense or just
he needs someone to pull him
stabilize.
aside. He needs someone who can pull him aside and say, "This is not the time to talk. This is the time to talk," and leave it at that. And here's what you're gonna say and how you're gonna say it, because he is a PR disaster waiting to happen.
Facts.
He needs someone who can just sit there and tell him when to shut up, when to speak up, and what he needs to say when he does speak up, because he can't help himself. He puts his foot in his mouth every time, and it just pisses people off. It does nobody any favors. It creates this stupid debate we're having. Like, just knock it off. Just step back a bit. Like, we don't need this.
Yeah. Chris, do you have anything to say on this?
No, I think you guys have touched on it well. You know, I think that the reason that he said anything is probably because he felt like he hadn't said anything in a while,
That's
and
okay.
and we made it to the final, so he's going to take the opportunity to, I guess, just promote himself a little bit while also doing future damage control in case things fall apart. You know, he's hedging his bets, as you could say. That's kind of just how I saw it more than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll also say what I didn't realize after just looking at it now. The question where he says about, you know, make sure the fans give everything to what we have, blah, blah, blah. The question asked was, will Rui Borges continue next season? And that was your answer?
Yeah,
Like,
he just didn't even touch the question, you know?
Man, like, if I'm Rui Borges...
If I'm a Rui Borges, I would have quit. That's the answer you gave.
Yeah.
Just
Couldn't
keeping
have
his
even given
options
them-
open, man. Keeping all his options open.
You couldn't have even said
Who knows?
no
Yeah.
comment. No comment would have been better
But-
than that.
No.
What you don't realize is when we had João Pereira, he was already scouting Rui Borges for a year. When the
Allegedly.
idea was already João Pereira is going to replace Amorim next season, he's been watching Rui Borges for a year.
I think he just expects people. He's like Vince McMahon. He just expects you to have no memory of anything past the last like 2
And to be
months.
fair, the news cycle does move pretty fast, and most people do have
he-
no memory.
He expects everyone to just forget shit, and football fans don't just forget shit. we hold on to things. So we're gonna be like, no, hang on. You said this though. What do you mean? What do you mean by that, bro? Like,
Well, I was just kidding when I said that.
yeah, like, I was just playing, dude. It was just memes.
But what makes me laugh is like you're asking us to get behind the team, but not behind Rui Borges, I suppose.
But not behind the code. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of contradictory.
Yeah, will Rui Borges continue next season? Oh yeah, just make sure the fans support everything.
He could have given any other answer that would have been better. He could have said no comment. I would have been like, yeah, fair enough. He could have sat there and been like,
Or you just said Rui Borges is our manager right now. We're worried
He
about
said he's our
that's-
manager
that's
right
better
now.
off.
He
Yeah.
could have said he's our manager right now, and we're confident in him, and we'll go.
We have
and
3
we'll-
games
we'll
to
go
play
moving
in a
forward.
final, and then I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
That's all you got to say.
Or even he should have just shot that down. I don't know, like. What a
Just say
stupid
we're
question.
not
Move on.
focused. We're not
Praise.
focused on next season right now. We're focused on
Yeah.
this season, and he's our manager moving forward, and we will let the chips fall where they may. That's it.
All he has to say is he's got a contract till 2026. That's it. 'Cause that's what we remember say all the time. He
That's
could
all
leave.
he would say. I
within
have a contract.
this time.
I have a contract. It has a release clause. That's it. That's
Yeah.
all.
You think
Ruben Amorim
Tuberon's
said.
coming for him?
Maybe, bro.
You
I
never
don't know how good his English is, though. Let me be honest with you. So maybe not.
Who's this? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
I cannot see this guy out.
Oh, Rui Borges. I'm saying, like, do you think another club would try to come in and take him?
Who's gonna take him?
Southampton.
Manchester United, bro.
Manchester United, brother. That's who's taking him. Yeah.
No, he's got Saudi written all over him, like the Portuguese Saudi.
Yeah, he's got loyal ties. He's
You're
got
right,
Middle
you
East.
Like,
He is a young short Suge. I hear you, bro.
He's
But
got
not
Saudi or Brazil written.
You've got, like
all
Peppers
over him.
out there,
Yeah,
Alvaro
Brazil.
Pacheco's out there.
He's
so
got,
many of those
he's
Portuguese
got
guys.
Saudi Arabia or
Carlos
Brazil.
Suarez is out there.
There's
If
even
I know
another
one
one.
thing about this
Yeah.
manager that I'm about to mention, he has an amazing start, and then by the end of it, he's fighting fans. Wolverhampton might have to look at Rui Borges after Vitor Pereira's ultimate demise next season. You know, so
Yeah, facts.
Yeah.
Don't think there's anything else unless you
Is there
guys
any
got-
modalidad? I can't think of any modalidad.
huge
that I haven't
handball
picked up.
game today that I actually had the pleasure of being able to watch.
Nice.
Quarterfinal, leg 1, Champions League, away in France, packed arena, loud. They all, those like paper things that you can
Yeah.
like,
I haven't
and
seen
it
those
makes
in years.
noise, dude. Everybody
Yeah.
had one of those things, so it was loud as fuck in there. And we played great. We lost by 1.
Still in
You
our
could
hands,
tell the
though.
last like 8 minutes it was very strategic because it's like they were up 2, they were up 3, then we cut it down. So it was just kind of jockeying for positioning in the second leg.
Mhm.
And we actually had the ball for the last shot of the game, could have tied it. But based on the swings that the game was taking, we never really went down by more than 3, I want to say, in the second half. So, even going back down 3, it's not like we're done. But going back down 1, coming home now to João Rocha, we got to fill that place up. I think that we will. But, I mean, definitely in play a historic trip to the Champions League semifinals.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
nice. The last thing I want to end it on is, I guess, piece of news is that Marcus Edwards and Burnley have been promoted to the Premier League. So Sporting set to receive 6.5. To be honest, I know this was like in the agreement and it was an obligation, but I've seen obligations like this not go through. So I don't know if they're going to try and like renegotiate or whatever.
I think that they're kind of happy with Edwards, though. So I think that they're like, 10 million.
We'll take it. Yeah.
That's whatever. That's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're probably
I-
Marcus
thinking,
got his
fine.
Premier League move in a roundabout way, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Yeah, I guess they get like
Oh,
200 million from getting promoted anyway, so it's probably
Yeah.
changed to them.
Yeah.
But yeah,
When you think about what his value was,
Yeah,
Even a year ago.
I mean,
it's crazy.
it's a case of
Humble.
mismanagement. I actually saw an article on My Football that was like, I think it was kind of clickbaity because I clicked on it. It was like Burnley's
Oh yeah.
Burnley's promotion earned Sporting a jackpot, and it's like,
Settle down.
chill out. 6.5 million is nothing to scoff
If,
at,
Bur-
but like
if Burnley's promotion it directly gave me 6.5 million, that's a jackpot.
at
for
one
me.
point
That's
we were
much a
like, we'll
jackpot for
probably
Sporting.
get 30 for him, and that'll be too low.
Yeah,
Yeah, that didn't happen.
That's a little bit of a bold headline from Burnley.
We went and got more
jackpot.
we only had 50% of his pass, and then we got 15% more from Tottenham because it was just like we're trying to strengthen our position for when we eventually cash out here big time. Just didn't pan out that way. Marcus Edwards is forever a case of what could have been.
Yeah, facts. But you have to remember, this is the most valuable team in Sporting's history, according to certain man. But, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, I think that's it, unless you guys got anything else that you want to
add. I got nothing on my end that I can think about. I do see Dave Oliveira asking about Supertaça.
I'm thinking it has to be Benfica Sporting.
Yeah, it's going to be played this summer. Yeah. I'm assuming so because that's the two. Either way, you have the winner and runner-up from either competition.
Technically, Braga and Porto can still mathematically,
because there's 12 points to play there, and they're down by like 10, right? So
they could mathematically, if things go their way, make it up. But as for the location, I don't know. I've always been a proponent. I'd love for them to take the Supertaça abroad. I feel like if you want to take a competition abroad, I would rather get rid of the Mickey Mouse League Cup and do the Supertaça like Spain, where they do like the Final Four kind of format, like someplace. Like if you just look at the place, they could take it like the States, like in New York, New Jersey, Boston. You can go to San Francisco. Obviously
they're going straight to Saudi.
They're going straight to Saudi. 5 years.
Yeah. So. But yeah, I'd rather. As for location, probably won't be announced until like June and July, anyways.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 8 of the last 9 have been
in
Aveiro. The last one that wasn't was in Faro. It was when we got absolutely hammered 5-0.
Oh no, that's right. That was the Algarve. Yeah, I forgot about that.
That was probably one of the most fucked up games I've ever seen.
Yeah, they like going
Bruno
back
was crying, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they've really liked Leiria for the League Cup the last few years. They've really liked Aveiro a lot for the Supertaça the last decade or so.
Yeah, so I did not announce yet. I just Googled it, but history is
I wouldn't be shocked if it's Aveiro. It's usually between that Leiria or Algarve is kind of where they tend to frequent the Supertaça. But yeah, that won't be announced probably till June or July at the soonest.
Yeah, fair enough. There was actually one more thing I want to end on as well. Just a funny tidbit. I know we touched on it a bit earlier, and that is Boavista Stadium electricity was not being able to be paid. They have now paid it off, which is good. So the game is definitely going ahead.
So if they couldn't play, like, what would have happened? Like, does anybody know, or
is that probably a different stadium?
I'm assuming different stadium. Yeah, or they moved the date.
I don't think they moved the date. I think they'd have to forfeit.
That's what I was wondering, if they have to just forfeit the game.
This stadium, there's no way they can't have it.
I think if they couldn't find a makeup date, I think it would go. We played a different stadium first. Okay, we can't do that. We're going to have a makeup date. If you can't do the makeup date for whatever reason, then it would have been.
Because even like Sporting Famalicão last year, that was still like with 8 weeks, 7 weeks to go. Like that was still quite a long time. This one is like with 4 games to go.
But that was something else, though. That was because of like the strike.
Yeah, that was nothing to do with Famalicão. Like nothing of their own issue. This is
all if the game was going to get played at another venue, wouldn't Boavista technically have to pay to like rent out that additional venue?
Which is what I'm saying. That's
why they clearly have no money to do anything.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's either you play in a different venue or you move the date, whether it's in your own stadium
or the league just puts up the cost to rent the new venue.
If you can't, and if for some reason you can't play on a makeup date, whether it's home stadium ways, if they can't play the makeup date, then they will like fourth would be kind of the last like option, like the nuclear option. But yeah, it's crazy that's even something that that's something that we're even having a discussion about.
How are they so broke?
Because their owner's a money laundering freaking loser. That's why.
Yeah, but if you money launder, that means you have money. How are you broke?
He's not good. I didn't say he was
for
good at money
Lille. It's
laundering.
for
I just said he's
Lille, bro. The
trying.
money's for Lille.
The money's all for Lille. He ain't
Yeah.
going.
Do you know how
guarding
they were saying they
Lille.
paid off the bill? Do you reckon they were waiting on that Bosniak money to come through? They're like, yes, man, we're going to pay it
Yeah,
off.
we're gonna pay the bill for next month.
Now the
Maybe.
Bosniak money is 0.
Yeah, they're like, oh, now we're like broke.
You can only afford the lights on for one more game. The rest is
Bro,
going to
they're
be
gonna
played
have to
in the
start
dark.
pixing up. Bro, players are gonna have to start picking up like Uber Eats shifts and stuff to like.
Or
pay
how about we
bills.
just reschedule the match to like 11 a.m.? I mean, then
Just
we don't need
reschedule
the
to where
lights.
it's daylight. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
we need the
true.
scoreboard and shit to be operational,
Yeah.
which would require power.
And of course, the
VAR.
VAR.
Yeah, it's true. You couldn't play anyways if they didn't have
Cameras.
power because you need the cameras and shit around there, right?
Yeah,
and all the
That's
TV
so
trucks and
fun.
stuff. I forgot about that. That never even occurred to me.
Generator.
Generator, get hella backup generators. That's crazy that we've even that this has even been a discussion, by the way, that they could have potentially forfeited this game if things
It's
got
so
that
very-
dire.
Yeah, I'm sure relegation will be good for the finals.
I'm sure relegation will be fine for them. I'm sure that
They'll
won't
be
be
just
disaster.
they're gonna cease to exist.
we gotta.
They're gonna be the new Beta Mar.
We
They're
gotta
gonna be
steal
like
on our hands.
in 5 years they'll be back in the first division as BVS instead of AVS. It's BVS.
they're gonna be like that, or they're gonna be like the new Beta Mar Blanche. They're gonna be like in district slash like Liga 3. District slash like Liga 3.
Speaking of, sorry, I know we're about to wrap
Run.
up, but for the B team, how close are we to promotion?
Oh, okay.
Has anything
so,
changed?
we got a late winner at the weekend.
Right.
Actually, late equalizer. At the weekend. The week before we tied Bolnes, who was behind us. So right now we're still in second. First, I think has 22 points. Lusitania, they're basically gone. Second is us, 14. And below us is Bolnes and Varzini, 12-12. So we have a 2-point lead on our 2 chasers. And I believe there's 4 to go. So we control our own destiny.
We could, yeah.
And we have slipped up, but no, actually the one before was a late winner. We actually had a late equalizer and a late winner. So kind
Jean
of
Pereira, Ruben Amorim to the B team. That's exactly what happened. Twice.
I don't know. I can't say I feel like that confident in it. Obviously if we go to the playoff, we'll still have a chance. But that playoff could be against like FC Porto B, which would kind of be
that'd be kind of
funny. So yeah, I just hope that we definitely finish top 3. I think they've earned it. But automatic promotion would be lovely.
Even better.
Yeah. Facts. Let's call it then there. Let's give a shout out to Chris. You can also follow Danny there. You can follow Richard there. Follow myself there, but most importantly, follow all things Alvalade on all social media and podcast platforms. We will be back next week. But until then, have a good weekend, and we'll see you next time.